3. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right. You want me to just go ahead and get started, Tom?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our Camden Hills informational session. My name is Jen Curtis, and I'm the principal at Camden Hills. I am going to be introducing the informational session, and I'll be turning it over to our subject matter expert. But I want to just start by just saying that I have learned a lot about the topic over the past 24 plus hours, and I think the more that I understood about bed bugs, the more confident I felt with how to support the teachers and the school. And what I want to do tonight, the purpose of this is to help give accurate information to our families, help them to identify either evidence of it or identify them on themselves, inspecting your home, and understanding the measures that Camden Hills is taking to make sure that our school is a healthy environment for both students and our staff. Let me just talk a little bit about the topics that will be covered. We're going to, with the subject matter expert, we're going to talk a little bit about how to detect bed bugs in your home and on your persons, the biology, so you understand the behavior and the why behind our response, preventative measures that you can take at home, and we'll also talk about some of the steps that we have taken at Camden Hills. And then what you can do if you do suspect that you have it at your own location. We are still evolving our response at Camden Hills, and we will continue to adjust based on inspections that are happening, if information surfaces. But this session will be led by the individual that we're contracting at Camden Hills. His name is Jeff Haynes from Ehrlich Pest Control, and he's been a phenomenal resource for me, and I'm excited for you to learn a little bit more about the topic from him. The steps that we've taken so far involve increased disinfection. There's no question that that was our immediate response. We have also worked really hard to remove any items that could not be disinfected, especially from our common areas, upholstery furniture, for instance. We are keeping close communication with our pest management company. They're guiding our entire intervention process and future inspections, with one of them happening tomorrow with a canine inspection of all 3 schools, our buses, and our central office. So we're taking this very seriously and making sure that we're addressing all areas that might surface from those inspections. A question that's been asked of me again and again is the impact. And to date, we've had 1 student, and we're really working hard to support that 1 student, and also to make sure that we're continuing to conduct inspections. There hasn't been nothing that has been found in the library or any other area. Those are all precautionary measures. We have worked really diligently to make sure that we are being cautious with our approach and taking information from the pest control company. We are going to continue communicating, so tonight's effort is an informational session, educational session, and yet I anticipate additional communication after this weekend. We'll keep our families informed. If there's any updates, just know that that's going to be part of our responsibility, is making sure that you're informed, that you have the latest information. And now I want to turn it over to Jeff, who is our subject matter expert. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate everybody taking the time today. What we're going to go over is items that are going to help you feel a little more comfortable with the situation, but also being able to identify it to make sure that you're not having it at home. This is a pest that in my 19 years of doing pest control has been one of the most difficult to get rid of, one of the most emotionally involved pests that are out there. If I tell you termites are affecting your house, people don't worry. If I tell you, the bees are got a bee nest, people aren't too concerned. But when you just mention bed bugs, people get real emotionally upset about them, because it's one of these pests that's affecting us when we're asleep for the most part. So I'm going to go through a lot of this stuff, and believe me, what you find online will really blow things out of proportion. So I want to show you quite a bit here. We'll talk about the history. We're going to talk about why they are back, what's the reason they're here, and then we're a true believer that you understand the biology and the behavior of the pest. If you know that, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable with everything else. So, and then I'm going to show you how to identify if you've got them at home, and talk about some precautions or prevention stuff that you can do, and then we'll get into the questions. It's going to take me about 45 minutes to go through these, and I'll go as quick as I can. A little bit on the history. They've been around since the day of the cavemen. And the reason we know that is when the cavemen wrote on the walls, they didn't write or draw pictures about the bed bugs. The bed bugs are actually stuck in the paint that was there at the time. So that's how we know they've been around since the day of the cavemen. Originally they thought they came over with the colonists, but they've been here a long time. The picture on my left, or your left, is us firing off a fumigant. We used to do a lot of fumigation in homes, and this was more in the 20s, 30s, 40s. In the United States or in North America, a third of all the homes had bed bugs. I didn't mention that yesterday, but there was a large percentage of them. So in the 50s and 60s, you had washing machines come out, you had dryers, you had vacuums come up, but you also had fumigants, which we could gas a house and kill them all. We've stopped using that for the most part because, to be honest with you, people don't listen to barricades or pay attention to the signage, and they would walk in these homes, and literally within a couple of minutes, the chemicals could kill them, and that was happening. So, picture on the right was a product that was called DDT. It was a product that was around until '72, and then for environmental reasons, it was taken off the market. But the bed bugs have gotten used to that product as well. On the left, it's either a plane or a train. I'm not sure which one that was, but you wouldn't see them in a plane these days when there's people in there spraying any aerosols. The treatments are done when the planes are empty and offline and there's nothing that can spark. And then on the right, you'll see somebody's mother. It could have been yours, mine, our grandmother's. They all had these cans at home, and they would go to the pharmacy or they'd go to the hardware stores, and they would buy products for ants, spiders, bees, hornets, whatever they had, and they would get it home, and then what they all did was just mix it all together. This literally happened up until 1996, and then all those products were pulled off the shelf. And in '96, the EPA and the FDA said there was too much risk for everybody, and they took it off, and that's when we went down to basically one product that we're all using. On this slide, what I'm talking about here is more of the fourth bullet point down. In New York City from 2005 to 2010, there was a 600% increase in bed bugs. We estimate the same thing was going on in Portland, Maine. We were having an enormous growth in the Portland area. At one point, we were running about 40 staff that were running around the clock just trying to keep up with the bed bugs. Its sense has changed, not as many because there's a lot more companies dealing with them. In 2015, we're talking 9 years ago, we had done over 60,000 residents in North America. I can't tell you today how many we're doing. It's thousands and thousands because our company is so large. Getting that data is kind of difficult at this point. We're going to talk here about why we have this resurgence. And there's a lot of reasons for it, but the biggest one is that they never really went away. So in the 50s and 60s, with the washing machine, the dryer, the vacuum, the chemicals that we had, we put them at bay for quite a while. And then what happened was in 96, when those chemicals all went away, there was nothing to stop them, so they just started populating again. And we got our first call. At that point, we were called Atlantic Pest in Kennebunk, Maine. And our first call was in 1997. It was a summer camp that was having issues. And nobody in the Northeast had dealt with bed bugs for 25 years. So we had a whole generation of pest control companies that had not dealt with bed bugs. We had the chemical companies that had taken them off the labels because they weren't an issue, all had to come back. So that was a big issue at the time. Increase in international travel. This is another big issue for them. In North America, we had chemicals that they didn't have in other parts of the world. They call them different things. In Africa, they call them chicks. In Europe, they call them mahogany reds. People had different names for them, but they're all basically bed bugs. And they didn't have the chemicals. They would just had cleaning practices that took care of them as best they could, and their tolerance level is a little different. So we didn't have the international airports either. At 25 years ago, basically you had Bangor. Then you had Boston, and now you've got Pease in Portsmouth, or Newington, you've got Manchester in New Hampshire, you've got Burlington, Vermont. You've got them all over the place that are taking international flights. And why that's such a big issue is still in other parts of the world, they're used to the bugs and they travel in their luggage. The luggage gets in the cargo hold and they will travel between bags. So people will pick it up and bring it to where they're going, which typically is somebody's home or a hotel. And if you've been traveling overseas and you're coming back and you're bringing your luggage in your home, you're definitely at risk. So we'll talk about that. Changes in how we do pest control. It used to be we'd walk around with our little silver can with a strap on our shoulder, and we would spray the walls, the floors. It was like we were hosing everything down. Practices have completely changed for a lot of health and environmental reasons. Now we use pin streams, we dust outlets, we don't go in, and people will say, well, come on in and bomb the place. We don't bomb. Bombs don't work. Pest control companies don't use the bombs, not for bed bugs. The EPA actually has reports that say they don't work. The FDA regulates what gets sold, and they haven't had enough complaints, so they still let bombs be sold. But it's a terminology that's out there. People want you to bomb, and it doesn't work. So don't waste your money, folks. Trying to bomb your house preventatively, it's not going to do anything. The other steps that we talk about are what's going to help. Resistance to certain insecticides. Dr. Potter, Mike Potter of the University of Kentucky in 2010 was talking about 98% plus resistance on the bed bugs that he tested from the Northeast and the Northwest were showing resistance to the pesticides that we're using. And since 97, we've been using the same pesticides or insecticides. And now they're saying it's much higher than 98%, in excess of 99. They won't say 100% because it still does kill some, but we have changed the products. There's no silver bullet. We now use a product called Apprehend. It's a fungicide, and they transmit it to each other. A reason why we talk so much about these pesticides and insecticides during the presentation is the fact that bed bugs don't have teeth, they don't have a tongue, they don't clean their bodies like other insects do. They pierce and suck like a mosquito, and we can't get the chemical into their bloodstream. It's got to get through the skin of their body. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. Resale of secondhand goods. We're talking about yard sales. And some of you yard sale folks out there, you're probably not going to like me. But if items haven't been inspected really, really well, I don't recommend taking them home. You know, in Maine, I have this thing that I talk about is, I'm supposed to say frugal, but honestly, we're cheap. And we're not going to put anything out in a yard sale that's got really a lot of value. We're going to only put out our junk. And that's cautionary. Be careful if you're doing yard sales and inspect everything completely before you bring it home. And then this last one is lack of knowledge and experience. So I talk about 25 years, you had no pest control companies that had to do with any bed bugs. So it's taken a long time to get everybody re-educated, as well as property management, getting educated, school nurses, schools, hospitals, everybody's had to be educated on bed bugs. And some of that issue is people are getting their education online, which is not really the best place to get it. So I'm going to talk about the biology, the behavior, and these are a lot of facts here, but we go through them pretty quick. They're broad, they're flat, they are paper thin. So any place you can slide the edge of a piece of paper, a bed bug will crawl through. Typically they're oval shaped. If you look at the second one down, he's elongated. That's the male. The female is more oval. The adults get as big as an apple seed. When they're laid as an egg, and when they come out of the egg, they're clear. So you don't even see them. And the only time you start to see them is after they've fed. They get the red color from the blood that they feed on. They're bloodsuckers. Think of them like a mosquito that doesn't fly. They don't eat carrots, soup, meat, any of that. They're bloodsuckers. And that's where they get their colors. So you get the red, then they get mahogany and brown because it gets darker as they get more in their body. They have a wing pad on their back, but they don't fly. They don't have any wings. The pad is there for the wings, but they just were never given. They don't fly. They don't jump. This is a crawling insect. So the chances of you picking one up here at school is you've got to sit down for a prolonged period of time in proximity of the bugs. And if you're moving around during the day, chances of them coming to us is very, very slim. We have pest control operators that are dealing with them every day. You know, we're in homes and businesses, and we're treating, and we're lifting the beds and the mattresses, and we never take them home. You know, in 19 years, I've literally done thousands of inspections and haven't taken them home. So they have piercing, sucking mouth parts. And what's important to know about that is they will pierce in 3 or 4 spots. They're looking for the sweet spot. They find us by our breath, and they find us by our body temperature, the 98.6. So they tend to be on the upper chest, the arms, the head, what's exposed at night outside of the sheets. But they will probe 3 or 4 times. And each time they probe, they numb it, and then they put in a little bit of a blood thinner. They pull out that needle, put a separate needle in, and suck blood out. This is real important because a lot of people will say, well, they're getting blood, and they think it's bed bugs. Well, the only thing that's going to really give you blood typically is going to be a spider. They have teeth, and they rip like fangs. They have 2 teeth that go in, and they rip the skin, and that's when you bleed. So it's important to understand that piece. You may get some blood from ticks as well, but it's an important piece. They're nocturnal. They like to be out at night, but they're going to be with us when we sleep. So some of you folks work all night and you sleep all day. They will be in your bedroom during the day, and not so much at night. They just go hide at night. And they will go 4 feet in a minute, so they're not going to go far. They like to huddle together. They like to be very close. So that's where the Apprehend, the product that we're using, is working well, is that gets on their skin, and it will penetrate or permeate the cuticle on their skin, which is rare, hard to find. They're very, very good hitchhikers. They will get under our collars. They will get in our backpacks. They'll get in our coats and our gloves. Really good hitchhikers, but they won't live on us. They're not going to feed, stay there, and then feed again. And they don't feed every day. They feed about every 2 weeks. So that if they're on you, they're hitchhiking. And we will show up at apartments and people never see them, and they'll be on their shirts. And we're going to treat their apartment. We have them changed before they leave because there's bugs on them. And that'll happen on any given day. You could be at the grocery store or a restaurant, and you may see one. A lot of people mistake them for ticks, so they don't even realize it. Only 30% of us even show any sign of a bite. So they can go several months, upwards of 18 months without feeding. So if you are bombing or using the bombs, all you're going to do is disperse the bugs. Not going to kill them. You're just going to drive them into the walls or into your items, and then they're going to come out anywhere between now and a year and a half from now. They start coming back out and laying eggs again. Life cycle is 4 to 6 weeks. This time of year, in August, it's about 2 weeks. They like the heat, and they reproduce very quickly. They like high humidity. They will stay active till 45 degrees, outside. But this time of year in your cars, it's 0 or lower. They will survive. They can go. I've seen or experimented, and it was 7 days at 0 degrees. And as soon as it warmed up, they come right back. So it's one of those things that not necessarily the cold, and this is where you'll get different reports that say, put them in the freezers. I haven't seen it work. That's just, I'm telling you what I see. Female will lay upwards of 500 eggs in her lifetime. Her lifetime is about 2.5 to 3 years, and the male is about 2 years to 2.5 years. This excrement, their fecal matter, we're going to show you pictures of what we're looking at. It's the staining that we get from their feces. So all they're eating is blood. All you're going to see is the liquid and the proteins from the blood. That's what we see on the sheets. There's 5 stages to the maturity. They go from an egg to an adult. They will mature 5 times, change stages 5 times in the first month. Each time they have to eat, and as they grow, their skeleton on the outside of their body will shred like a snake skin, and then a new skin comes on, and a couple days later they shed that one. We have bed bugs and bat bugs in Maine. Bat bugs feed on the bats in the attic, and if you've been dealing with bed bugs, and it's none of my business, but if you've been dealing with them, it may be an issue of you have bat bugs. So they need to be taken to a lab, or your pest control company needs to look at them under a microscope to see which one they are. To the naked eye, they're identical. Under a scope is the only way to tell the difference. Swallow bugs, I've seen those, and poultry bugs, but only down in Pennsylvania. Have not seen them. I have not seen those up here. This is a penny, and you can see that first piece there is the egg, and then the different stages to the adult. The one that's on the far right is fully engorged. He's full of blood. Within a couple hours, he will shrink down. The liquid disperses, and then it's just the proteins from the blood. Okay? On this slide, we talk about how fast they can populate. If on day 1 we have 2 bed bugs and we've got 10 eggs, by day 45, we're literally talking a month and a half later, we could have 300 bed bugs and 1,000 eggs. If I wait to day 180, 6 months, I could have 36,000 bed bugs, and I can't tell you how many eggs. It's just extreme numbers at that point. They populate very quickly at one point, and it's a matter of trying to stay ahead of them. On this picture, you're just showing you the egg sacs. There's 1 bed bug to 1 egg sac. You can see the end of it opens up and they crawl out. Unlike your spiders, you could have 250 to 500 in those little white sacs around the eaves of your house. On the outside, those are your spiders. All in this picture, all I'm showing you is the proboscis, the point where they drive in to feed. What's real important here is that the 4th or 5th item down is the feedings. They last 3 to 10 minutes, and then they get off you. They will not stay on you. They want to go where they're protected. If it's longer than 10 or 15 minutes, it's more than likely that's a tick. And I kind of joke about this, but if you slap a tick, he'll laugh at you. If you slap a bed bug, he's going to squash like a mosquito. And sometimes that's the only way to really know. But the tick, the new science on ticks, used to be 3 days to get Lyme. Then it was 24 hours. It's 15 minutes now, folks. 15 minutes is all you need with a tick to get Lyme disease. So ticks are much more dangerous than bed bugs, same as your mosquitoes are much more dangerous than bed bugs. Bed bugs are not transmitting disease. So they prefer human blood, but they will feed on our cats and our dogs. They will stick around the eyes and the paws on the cats. They get onto the paw of the cat. The hair's too thick. They won't go through the hair. It's not like a flea. They're wide insects. So these are what the bites look like if you show bites. Keep in mind, only 30% of us will show. So we can have a family of 4 where only one's showing any kind of bites. And it takes typically 3 months for a family to realize they've got an issue. And that's part of the reason is only one of them is showing. So everybody's thinking, well, we're all going to show bites. Well, you may all be getting bit, but you've only got one showing. So you start looking at your soap, your laundry detergent. You're looking at everything but bed bugs. And sometimes it's one of those things that it's a bed bug there that they only feed every 2 weeks. So you get a couple of bites today, and it may be 2 weeks before they come back. So it takes about 3 months for that population to grow. These bites are not bed bug bites. These are chiggers, which are your pine, coming out of your pine leaves and stuff out in the woods. Your wasp, your mosquitoes, black flies, they all give you different types of bites. And so not every bite is going to be a bed bug. I typically say that from the waist down, if you're getting bit and you're not noticing on the arms or the face or the neck, I typically think that's a flea if you have pets. So that's what I look at first. If it's from the waist up, then I'm looking at bed bugs. Only because we see so many times when people think they have bed bugs and it's a flea issue. And it doesn't mean you've got pets in your house. It may mean you've got sandy yard, especially in summertime, more particular than this time of year. They carry 28 diseases, upwards of 28 diseases. They can bite somebody that has AIDS, HIV, and all kinds of other diseases, and within an hour, these diseases are neutralized because of the enzymes in their stomach. It's a really important piece to understand that bed bugs are not transmitting disease to us. So if he comes and bites on us, the way they're feeding, it's a different process. They won't transmit disease. They're only sucking one way. They're not regurgitating into the skin and then sucking back like a tick will do. They're not going to transmit these diseases at this point. And there's been a lot of research and science done on it. Where we get sick is the skin is irritated, and if you show, it's irritated and it'll itch unbelievably for 2 weeks. It won't stop. And people will scratch it till they bleed, and then they infect themselves. So the recommendation, and the school would tell you the same, or church or any of these places that you're going to, they're going to tell you if you're getting a lot of itching like that, go see your doctor. Let the professional determine what creams or ointments you need to do, and let them tell you the best way to handle that part of it. But if it's itching for 2 weeks, it's a true indication that you've got something going on, and you should get a professional company to come in and do a proper inspection. How do these infestations happen? They, like we talked about, they're great hitchhikers. They're going to come in your guest, their luggage. Typically, everybody has family at Christmas. They stay overnight. They bring their luggage in. They got gifts that they bought. March is one of our busiest months of the year. August is another busy month because everybody's traveling in June and May. But they're bringing them in their luggage. They bring it in your home. Staff. If you have health care or you have housekeeping, you have somebody doing your laundry, somebody coming in your home. If you have carpets being replaced, some of those guys will use the same trucks. They will carry your old carpet, put it in their truck, and then grab your new stuff and bring it in. Well, they were just at somebody else's house, and their stuff's still in their truck as well. So if there were bugs, there's a chance they come in. So, and it doesn't mean that every carpet company is like this. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying there's all kinds of ways they can get in your home. Secondhand furniture, personal belongings. You leave them in your lockers or, the kids' lockers at school, or they bring home their duffel bags or their backpacks, and they throw them on their bed or they throw them on their washing machine, and, they pile up, and everybody does the same thing. Well, if there's anything on that, there's a chance it can transfer to other stuff. So my recommendation is those flat totes. You can buy them at any of the big box stores. They have a flat top. They got clear sides, and the bottom is clear. Throw the top away, and or recycle it somewhere, and then give each one of them one of those for their room. Let them keep their backpack in it, and their school stuff in there. If they're coming back from sports, have them put it in there. So if something crawls out, there's a chance it can't climb up the side of that plastic. It's too smooth. And it's a great tool to monitor what's going on. And it'll make you feel comfortable a little bit more with what's going on. And then, and I know some families and mine was the same way, was you have these kids with their backpacks, and they use that same backpack year after year because they love it, but it never goes through the laundry. It's just, they go to school, they bring it home and set it in their room and all their stuff in. Nobody ever empties them out. Recommendation is every school vacation holiday, it's a recommendation, empty that backpack, look at the stuff, take the snacks and stuff they got out of there and put new stuff, but put that backpack through the laundry. Throw it through the washer and dryer, and if you don't want to wash it, just a dryer, half-hour high heat will kill the bed bugs that are in it, if there are any. And it doesn't have to be school. It could be summer camp. It could be sports events, wherever you're going. So we talk about where are the points of contact. Everybody thinks it's hotels. That's not the biggest issue for us. And this goes to why I think you guys have had such luck in not having bed bugs for all these years. Apartment complexes are some of our biggest clients. Nursing homes where there's a large group of people living together. Hotels, they're changing people every night. Not so much as apartment buildings and sometimes the dorms where they're longer, they're there a whole semester. But I honestly believe that the reason you have such a low issue here is because most of you are in what we call single-family homes. They're not attached to other family homes. It's individual homes. And we are a worldwide company. We are everywhere. But less than 1% of individual homes deal with bed bugs. So very, very, very few. If it's my apartment complexes, that's typically 20 to 30%. So that's why you see such a big difference between here and in Lewiston, Bangor, Portland, your Biddeford, Saco area, the places that have a lot of multifamily living. And I'm not picking on any particular city. I could have said Portsmouth, Boston, New York, it's any of them. I honestly believe that's a huge piece to being up here in these communities, and that's why you haven't seen as much. The bed bugs are not going away. There's no silver bullet. They're continuing to be here, and these education pieces are probably some of the best things you can do. What it causes for you, the first thing is, and hopefully this education is going to help, is the emotional stress, the emotional feelings and the worries and the concerns. We all get them as soon as we say bed bugs, as soon as we say lice, as soon as we say something along that line. And a lot of times, once you understand the pest, that kind of you feel more comfortable. And I really hope that this education will get you there. So lots of sleep. Some of you may not sleep well tonight, and you'll be cussing me, but middle of the night you'll wake up and be checking your bed. You normally aren't going to feel when these bugs are on you because we're asleep. And they're moving around, and we just don't even notice them. They numb it, so you don't know they're biting you. It's not like they're going to wake you up and you felt the bite. You are anesthetized. So think of it as they're putting that area to sleep, and you don't even notice it. So you don't feel the bites. The issue here is secondary infection from the scratching. The cost of the treatment, if you get them at your home, can be very expensive, but also it can be very expensive for the school system. But the social stigma, when we were all kids and your parents were kids, it was 50s, 40s, everybody worried about bed bugs, and it was because everybody thought it meant you had a dirty house. And if I say bed bugs now, people think it's because you got a dirty house. It has nothing to do with filth. I have treated operating rooms, surgery rooms, ERs. We've done sterile environments. What it has to do with is sometimes clutter will hide the issue longer before you notice it. So, and I'll talk about that too. How do you identify the presence? Timing going okay? Okay. So, if you look at this top slide, you're going to see the rope on your mattress. If you have any of your rope looking like this, you need to be getting it inspected. That's a real indication of bed bugs. When they walk, they leave feces. And as they leave feces, it's not going to be chunks. It's going to bleed into the fabric. And it'll be on the roping where they walk across, on the pillows where they cross, on the sheets. It may be just one here and there, but on the mattresses where they're going to hide, you'll see a lot more. The bottom picture was an apartment building that we were doing. It's bed bugs, it's eggs. This landlord had spent thousands, between 20 and 30 grand before he called us, trying to take care of bed bugs. And when we got there, he had plaster walls, and we had to go strip the plaster out, went up 4 feet on the plaster walls. The bed bugs had penetrated the walls, were behind the plaster and the lathing in the walls. That's why you need a professional sometimes, because the products that you can buy online will just drive them deeper and deeper. But this is your typical bedroom, hotel room. Where you're going to find them? Absolutely everywhere. I have found them in the pillows. The headboards are very common. The dust ruffles on the bed are very common. Nightstands, we find them everywhere. So the recommendation is, if you're going to a hotel, is when you go in, just set all your stuff in the tub until you take a look at the bed and see if you're seeing any spotting or any changes, anything going on. You should not see it on the pillow or the sheets, because it's brand new pillows and sheets. So I lift up the dust ruffle and I look at the inside and the underside, and then I'll see it. And I literally have been to some hotels where I will find as many as 3 rooms that have bed bugs that they had no idea. They put me in another room and I find them again. So it can happen. So where do they hide? Look at this list. I'm assuming you can all see it pretty good, but mattresses, box springs, I'm not going to name all of these, but your bedposts, they like the wooden slats under the bed. They like the wood frames. They get all the cracks and crevices. If you've got a wood frame on your bed, the recommendation is seal up all the cracks and crevices. A little silicone caulking will work. Even Elmer's glue sometimes will fill those cracks and crevices. Remember, bed bugs don't have teeth, so they can't chew. They pierce and suck, so they have to have an opening to get through anything. So if it's just a blank wall, they can't chew through that wall. They go down to the bottom and they crawl through. That's why it makes it so difficult to find them, is they're hiding in these cracks and crevices sometimes. Maybe inside the alarm clock. We have found them in sprinkler heads. They'll be anywhere, okay? On the bottom left, you'll see one on the sheet. Just one adult that's there. And then on the right, you'll see all different stages. You see how you see some that are kind of clear? Top left of that right picture, that's just the skin. They've shed their skin and they've grown to the next stage. The others are adults and young ones, and then there's a couple eggs there as well. On the right here is what we call cast-off skins, where they've shed a lot of skins. This isn't from us sweeping them up. This is literally the bed bugs. So I have what we call 3 levels of issues with bed bugs. An introduction is between 0 and 100 bed bugs. That's an introduction. That's not an infestation. They've been introduced, and you've got to try to take care of it as soon as you can. 100 to 100,000 is what I call an infestation, or a heavy presence. And then if you get over 100,000, I call those OMGs. And you only find a few OMGs. I think I've found between 4 and 6 in 19 years. And an OMG is really, there's a big issue. And it can literally affect someone's health. Fecal droppings here, the black ones, you'll see the different egg sacs, you see the empty castings, you see the different size bed bugs. This is a great shot of what your children's pillows may look like if they have bed bugs. They don't even know what it is. You'll think maybe it's not to be gross, but you'll think it's a zit, or you'll think it's a blemish on their skin that bled overnight. This is an indication that you may have an issue, and this is something you should just get it inspected. And you can inspect yourself, but pest control operators tend to have an eye for these things. We've all been dealing with them so long, we can find them pretty quick, for the most part. This is the corner of box spring, and when you look at it, you may miss them. It blends into the color, but when you really magnify it, you're going to see I got over 100 eggs here. I got all stages of the growth of the bed bug. It could have easily been overlooked. If this was the corner of your bed, in the back corner, in the corner of the wall of the room, you wouldn't even notice it. So this is the edge of your box spring or your mattress. You have that rope webbing going around. It's the binding that holds the fabric together. They love to run along that because they're protected. The sheet goes over and the sheet it stays up off the mattress or the box spring just enough so they can crawl along, and that's where we find them a lot of times. This is that tag that's on the bottom of the mattress or the box spring. It'll say the size and when it was made, and if removed, go to prison. I don't know of any cops or mattress police out there, so my recommendation is just remove it. Get rid of it. It's a great hiding place for the bed bugs. You'll see how many there are here. And this didn't happen overnight. This is months of bed bugs building up. So they were there for quite a while. If that tag's there, they don't have any place to hide. This was one of those, what do you call them, platform beds. It's got a piece of wood, and it's got some cheesecloth on the bottom, and then the cloth like a mattress. Well, we kept having issues, so we had to start pulling it apart, and when we did, this is what we found inside. You see up top is all kinds of bed bugs. Down bottom is the fecal staining. And if you look close at that wood, you can see how it actually bleeds into the wood. Okay? This is another bed frame. This was from a property that we walked into, and this was my first OMG about 18 years ago. Literally, they were falling off the walls. The resident here ended up going into assisted care. He was in such bad shape. He was bit from head to toe. I don't think there wasn't anything that was bit on him. He was covered in bites. His apartment, everything got thrown away. They took the windows out, and it all got thrown into a dumpster. And it took us months to clean up that apartment complex because they spread in that time. So it's one of those things that you just don't know. But this is the metal frame. You'll see what it looks like closer. What's important here is everybody, you'll talk to some folks will tell you, or some research you see online is, well, they can't climb up metal, or they don't climb up windows, or they don't climb up this and that. This frame was on the floor before we took it up, lifted up, and I took that picture. That wheel was on the floor. Those bed bugs were upside down, hanging there before we lifted that frame up. So I think it's a great picture to show that, yeah, absolutely, they can crawl anywhere. And you can see by the fecal staining on that metal, they were able just to hang around and do their thing. This is just a headboard, and when we get closer, we find them in the hole of the screw. So this is a female laying her eggs in there. Any little gap like that, so a great winter project, February school vacation, take all your pictures in your house, get craft paper and put craft paper on the back to protect them. They can't get in, they can't chew. So it seals them and you don't have to worry about it again. This is a nightstand. Very common on nightstands. We find them in the lampshades, the phones, everywhere. But very common to find them on the back or the bottom of the nightstand because the sheets and the fabric touch that and they're able to crawl right from the bed to the nightstand and stay there 2 weeks and then come back on the sheets, feed, and go back. Same with your headboards. This is baseboard. Not so much in your homes as it is in commercial buildings like here at the school. It's that rubber molding that goes along the floor. They put it on with a trowel, and the bed bugs get up on behind it, and they can travel anywhere in the building going through there. It's like if they get through an outlet, they can get on the wiring, and they can travel absolutely anywhere in the building. So that's why we put this here. So, curtains. A lot of you pick up curtains, and they're dark, and you don't really notice it, but you want to look at the tops of your curtains, especially if you're going to your grandparents or the elderly and you're visiting. You don't need to tell them all about it. Just take a look up there. Sometimes their eyesight, they can't see them. So what to do? First thing I've got on here is don't panic. Truly, do not panic, right? Notify everybody that's involved. So if it's your home, let the others in your family know. And that's why the school let everybody know what they were doing. They want to make sure everybody's involved in the process. And we'll talk about that too. But collect a specimen if you can. Put it in a Ziploc bag. Remember, they don't chew, so they can't get out of the Ziploc bag. If we show up or somebody shows up to look at it and check, and they've chewed their way out, you can feel comfortable it's not a bed bug. Probably something else. You still need to be checked. And then arrange for a treatment with a pest control company. Don't waste your money or your time going out and treating yourself. I have seen it over and over and over where people will go to your big hardware stores or your big box stores and they buy the bombs and they buy the sprays and they get the home defense sprays and they spray their whole house, and you're making your environment unhealthy, and you're also not typically taking care of the issue. You're making it much harder for pest control to do it. We normally can take care of these bugs in a couple of treatments, sometimes 3. But if you've treated, I've seen sometimes where it's 8 or 10 treatments to get rid of them because they just keep coming back. All right. Skip this one. We can skip some of these. This one I wanted to get to. If you are in an apartment building, which I don't believe there are many of you are, the red one, let's say that's yours. If you have an issue, you are legally required to notify your landlord within 24 hours or 48 hours. You're supposed to tell them that you need an inspection. Do not treat it yourself. And when we get there, we inspect yours, and typically the ones that are touching above, below, and beside. And about 10 or 15% of the time, we will find one of the other units has an issue, and yours is not necessarily the primary unit, so it expands from there. But that's an important piece here. There are some laws if you're a tenant. Homeowner, not so much. It's a collaborative effort. It's going to take you all to participate, as well as housekeeping and education here at the school, maintenance at the school. They're staying on top of that. They've started deep cleaning on some of the areas, and we'll know more after our inspection tomorrow, which follows down to the routine inspections. We have a professional teams coming in, K9 team, bringing a couple dogs, going to go through all the schools, the 3 schools, and I think I already told you the bus barn, the buses, and we'll have some idea at the end of that inspection. We'll have a good idea whether it's just a one-off. Somebody had some, and there's nothing else to do. It could be that inspection's done and we don't find any. And people will question, is the dog always 100%? No, they're not. They are at least double effective from if I'm looking. They can go through an apartment or a one-bedroom unit or your home and be done inspecting your home in 10 minutes. They're doing it by smell. Bed bugs do have a smell. If I say gasoline, you know what that smells like. If I say bed bugs, you got no idea. It's a very sweet, pungent smell. Once you know what it is, if you walk in a place, you'll notice it. It's crazy. Documentation. We are strong advocates for everything has to be documented. And Jen and her team have been documenting everything from their first acknowledgement of this and they're keeping a journal as to what's going on. And then quality pest control. I got to brag about that. What we do is human inspection, canine inspection, conventional treatments. We do heat treatments. We don't do heat treatments so much anymore since the end of the year. We've been finding the chemicals are working. But we do a lot of mattress encasements. Recommend that if you're going to buy them, go looking at the box stores, and I'll talk about that in a second. Fumigation only in Florida area, and then maintenance warranty for homes. That's the sales pitch piece. Our inspection services, just so you know, if we are inspecting your home, or the inspections that we've done at school, is we are licensed by the state. We have a lot of training we go through. Monthly we go through at least a 4-hour training. The whole team has to go through. All of our technicians, management, myself, we all go through this training every month to keep our certificates up, kind of like the teachers have to do. And same thing with our dogs. Our dogs are certified by NASDECA. It's the national dog inspection teams that go out and check. The folks that are coming tomorrow are actually part of that team. They go out and they certify other dogs. They also train other dogs. They've trained bomb dogs, cadaver dogs. So their dogs, in my opinion, are some of the best, if not the best, at least in the Northeast or East Coast. And you can feel comfortable that when they're done, their inspections are going to be accurate. What's happened today is the cleaning service here, the cleaning program could not use any chemicals today or until after we do the inspection, but they still did vacuum and wipe things down with water and inspecting things as they needed. It didn't hold anything up. Conventional treatments, it's just chemical. Sorry, some of these slides just go on as part of the presentation. This one is one that if you're looking for mattress encasements, I've got 3 names on here. I like Protect the Bed. They were the first. We've sold thousands of these. And I've only had, that I know of, 2 or 3 that ever had any manufacturing defects. They hold up really, really well. Once these covers go on your bed, they never come off. It's a zippered bag. It goes over your mattress, your box spring. Alderest makes them, and Safer makes them as well. Any of the big box stores have them. Shop around, because the pricing's all over the place. Excuse me. And recommend everybody gets them on your bed. And the reason I say that is when you go to look at your bed and you try to inspect it, if you look at the bottom of the box spring, you have that cheesecloth. The inside of that box spring is just a bunch of shredded material. And you're going to be looking at it for hours, questioning every little piece of fabric. Having these covers on, the bugs can't bite through it. They can't get out of it unless a hole rips in it. And then they will stay on there until you get rid of them. So if a bug is in there and you seal it in, they can survive upwards of 2 years, but they can't feed and they will die in there. So I highly recommend the encasements, especially the kids' rooms. And the reason I say that is because your children are not just coming here to school. They're going to summer camps. They're going to church schools. They're going to friends overnight. They're traveling out of town to other schools and maybe using their facilities, their locker rooms and that sort of thing. You want to be inspecting your kids' stuff maybe more so than your own, because they tend to do more than we do a lot of times. We tend to be more focused on the kids sometimes. Preparation is key, and one of the steps to preparation is making sure your laundry is working properly. Making sure your washer and your dryer are working right. Your dryer is the key. If the kids are coming home from school and you're nervous, you don't need to wash and dry everything. All you got to do is dry it. If it's only what they wore that day, 15 minutes at high heat. If it's a full load, half hour at high heat in a dryer, empty the lint trap before you start and then check it after. If you find any bugs or any bodies of bed bugs in there, then you'll know you have more of a concern. If you don't find any, then that probably means there wasn't any in there. But you took the precautions and you did okay. Shoes, my recommendation is just inspect them. If you're really nervous, get a can of the compressed air that you use for the computer boards and just blow your shoes out. But again, we are moving around so much and so fast that they don't get on our stuff typically. And most of us are going to be like that. If you got to dispose of something, my recommendation is wrap it up, get it in plastic. If it's a mattress and you're getting rid of it, and you're not sure, cut it up. Cut it up so somebody else doesn't take it and bring it home if that's the case. And we're getting right at the end here, but you know, my mom always joked that you never see a hearse with a U-Haul behind it, right? So declutter. The best thing you can do for your home is declutter. The school does the same thing. If they're not using it, they get rid of it. You know, if it's something that's needed, they store it, they use it when they need, but clutter can be one of the biggest obstacles to being able to see the early detection. And then this is just about us, a little bit about us real quick, because we've been in the business over 80 years. We are worldwide. These are some of the brands that we operate under. Ehrlich is what I operate out of here in Maine, but we also own Terminix. We own JP Pest in New Hampshire and Maine. Rent-A-Kill is our key company, and it's Rent-A-Kill Terminix now. We are one of the largest providers in the world, but the advantage here is that we have an awful lot of experience. So everything I'm telling you is not just what I see, it's what my colleagues have seen around the world, and we've seen a lot. So I hope this is helping, and we're here for questions, and we'll stay as long as you have questions, I think. And I don't know where you stand on those.
Yep.
Thank you all.
So Jeff, I've been able to answer questions along the way, but I just want to recap a couple things. Number one, you know, you helped me identify what's the primary areas that I should focus on. Can you just remind me, okay, I'm a parent, and you mentioned that they're hitchhikers.
Yep.
What am I looking at when my kiddo's coming home? What am I
So-
focusing on?
I would be looking at the backpack and their coats in particular. They're all beside each other a lot of times. They're hanging up or they're in a pile all together. Backpacks, they're getting stuff in and out of their lockers all day. So I would be checking the backpacks, doing an inspection. That's where I think those flat boxes are great. The clear boxes, haven't put it in that until you can get a chance to look at it. And then literally every vacation, just empty it and run it through the dryer. Their coats, it's the same thing. If you're nervous about their coat, throw it in the dryer 15 minutes at high heat and you'll be fine. If you've got multiple kids in the different schools, it's not going to hurt to put all the coats in the dryer at the same time. In the backpack's the same way. I think a lot of times it's looking at that stuff in particular, but also keeping an eye out if they're getting any bites. But then on a regular basis, checking and changing their sheets on a weekly basis. I know some folks, and I'm not trying to be gross, some folks will go 2 months without changing the sheets on their children's bed. I think you need to do it on a regular basis, and don't just have them take it off and throw it in the washer. You take a look at it before they take it off and see if you see any staining, any spots that show up. And then from there, that's when you make your call. But it's one of those things that on any given day, and that's the problem with the school, is that this could happen on any given day. You could have one child today, and then a month from now, you could have 3 kids come in with them from some trip they took over the weekend. You know, some of these events require you to go out of the competitions. You go out of town, you're all staying at hotels, and then you're coming back. All the bags are together in the vehicles. There's a chance that, you know, you pick up something. So when they come back from any kind of a trip like that, an overnight stay with a friend, I recommend they immediately change their clothes when they get home, throw them in the dryer, and just have them put a clean set of clothes on. If you're nervous about your children coming home from school, it's the same thing. Just use your dryer, 15 minutes. But you need to test your dryer. And the really important piece here is that if you're going to test your dryer, you got to do it this way. A damp towel, put it in, set the dryer at high heat, and let it run 10 minutes. Take a thermometer that you've got, a window thermometer or some thermometer you got at the house, could be a cooking thermometer, I guess. Put it on top of the towel in the dryer, close the door, don't start the dryers. I have people call later and complain that they broke the thermometers. And don't start the dryer, wait a couple minutes, and then open the door and check it. And you think I'm crazy saying it this way, but it's happened a lot. The dryer needs to be above 135. If it's not, then you gotta look at your dryer and say you need it serviced. There's something wrong with the dryer, an element's burned out. And you know, we all get these dryers, and the brand new, you know, we get a load done in 45 minutes and we don't think about it. 8 years later, it's taken an hour and a half and we just don't even think about it. We get used to it. And it's because an element burned out. So that piece, I
Okay.
think.
And last thing, just to kind of recap, because going based on some of the emails I've received, and I appreciate parents reaching out and asking questions, the focus of this is to keep our families informed,
Yep.
understand that we need to be vigilant as a team, the school and our families. And then also, some of the questions I received talk about more of like a global, measure versus what you're going to provide us, which is more of a localized. So we're doing inspections, we're identifying, if we identify any areas, then we'll address that area. Right now, we haven't identified any areas, and I just want to kind of reassure families that it isn't necessarily the entire school
Right.
that you will be, having any treatment towards, and if there is any treatment measures, what's the process that involves?
Okay, so couple things there. I guess you all need to understand that the whole school is not infested. This is not an OMG. This is an introduction, can be very difficult to find, and that's why we bring the dogs through the schools, and it allows them to pinpoint where the issues are. So, for instance, if it's in a classroom and it's one chair, we don't need to treat that room. The chair will be removed. Chris will be with us, maintenance will be with us. They'll take the chair right out. And the room will be cleared and you'll be good. If it's in a room and they're in the baseboard, that room will be shut down until we can treat. And if it's a bigger area, then that area will be shut off. The rest of the school can operate just like it normally does. And when we come to treat, it'll be the same thing. The rest of the school can operate and we're focusing in that area. Remember, we're not going to come in here. We're mandated by state as well. We're not firing off bombs or gas that's going to go through the building. That's not what's happening. We're pinpointing the issue, and that's the whole idea about talking about the biology of the insects with you, is that you understand it. They're not massive numbers we're trying to knock down. It's a matter of pinpointing where they are, and it may be some baseboards that we dust, and they may not all die overnight. That's not going to happen. It could take, the chemicals we use could be down here for 6 months continuing to kill. So it's one of those things. The point of the education is to let you know what the school's doing, but also to let you know on a global view, everybody's got to be involved. So when it comes to getting the school inspected and the procedures here, yeah, we're handling that. But on individual homes, we need your cooperation to be able to take care of your home, of course. But if something does happen at your home and you do find an issue, it can't be a secret. It's got to be known to the school. There is protocol in place if a student has an issue at home. When they come to school, it's basically they have a change of clothes. They quickly change here and put the other clothes in a Ziploc bag till they get home, and everything's the same for the day. We can't not allow people to come. It just wouldn't make sense because it could be anybody any given day. But having you identify what's going on at your home is key. When I have apartment buildings with 100 different units, and we go in and we're finding bed bugs in 80 units, and then I started doing this education, and I get them talking about bed bugs, seriously, talking about bed bugs like the Red Sox or the Patriots, and we're in their break room, their community rooms, and it's an open conversation. Then all of a sudden, we get that building down to where there's 2 units, and taking care of an issue. Communication and openness is really key, and I think that was a big part of this education, was making sure that everybody understands this is not a bug that's going to overrun our lives, but that it's one that we got to be vigilant about, and we got to be openly communicating, and not embarrassed or afraid to say something. You can come in and talk to Jen anytime, email her, call her, and just let her know you got an issue, you're getting it resolved. If you get bed bugs in your home, like the school, is not taken care of in one treatment. Typically, it's a matter of 4 to 8 weeks to get the treatments done, the prep time, to get the treatments done, and then 8 weeks before you can get a canine or somebody to go through and clear it. So it's not fast getting rid of bed bugs. It's not like a hornet's nest where we can get in, dust it, and remove it, or ants where we can bait in a couple days the nest is gone. These guys don't operate that way.
Well, Jeff,
Hopefully.
I appreciate all of your time and effort to make sure that the staff is educated, our families are educated, because I do think that vigilance and that communication back and forth is really key. So if anything comes up at the school, we'll continue to keep you informed, but anyone who has attended our informational session at their home, we appreciate your time. If you have questions, feel free to email me, and I'd be happy to support you in any way that I can. Thank you.